I've made an interesting observation. To be frank, it's definitely something that common sense would have predicted, but then sometimes these type of realizations take time. So the thing that I found is that the more I use hacks, the better I'm able to focus, especially when I have to do it day in and day out. And the more I'm able to focus, I found that the better the quality of my life. Learning how to focus without getting distracted is a super useful skill that can change your life. Whether you want to do better in school, at work, start a new project, or just be there for your family, you need to know how to concentrate on one thing at a time. But we live in a world full of distractions. Everywhere we turn, there are phone notifications, messages, emails, and all sorts of things trying to grab our attention. Being able to concentrate is really important. The good thing is that there are techniques that we can learn to help us focus better, and if we can just learn and apply these techniques, it massively boosts the quality of our life. Okay, so in this video, we're going to go over the 3 key strategies that we can use to cultivate laser-sharp focus. I will also tell you my personal experiences with these strategies. Now, let's dive into strategy number 1. There is a mind-boggling fact that Nir Eyal mentions in his book, Indistractable. So what he says in this book is that the opposite of distraction is not just focus, but something that he calls traction. Now, what is traction? Traction, I would say, is just moving forward towards a goal that you have through intentional actions. So, as per this definition, there are things that you want to do and things that you don't want to do. But if you start a working session or a study session without a plan, in fact, nothing is distraction because there's no plan in the first place. Here's the deal. Without a plan, you're essentially wandering in the dark. Every move a potential distraction since there's no marked path to stray from. Think about social media, which is intentionally designed with the aim of keeping us wandering aimlessly. And guess what? They're pretty good at it. To cultivate focus and make traction towards achieving my goals, I schedule stuff in my calendar. Just give it a try. Scribble down your intentions. Block out times for specific tasks. I am now talking from my personal experience. I've had days where I've sat at my desk all geared up to work on a project. The problem? I didn't have a plan. I didn't know what I needed to tackle first, which, let's be honest, is an open invitation for Mr. Procrastination to walk in, and boy, does he love to dance. With every tick of the clock, my frustration grew, feeding this situation. I like to call this reverse momentum. It's like being stuck in quicksand. The more you struggle aimlessly, the deeper you sink. But here's the light bulb moment I had. If I simply jotted down a game plan the night before, when it was crunch time, I was ready. My subconscious had been marinating on that plan beforehand, and with each small win, I gained momentum, rolling faster towards my goals. So if you take one thing from this video, let it be this: always have a plan. It's a game changer. Trust me. Moving on to strategy number 2. In his book, Nir Eyal mentions a profound analysis where he says that the actual reason for our so easily distractible focus is that we're trying to many times dodge underlying fears, anxieties, stresses, and self-doubt. So the actual culprit is not our low span of focus or lack of interest, but it's actually these feelings that we're trying to just somehow shove behind the carpet and we're trying to dodge them. Eyal introduces the concept of the 10-minute rule as a technique to tackle these moments. This means when you feel the pull of distraction, instead of giving in, you promise yourself to wait just 10 minutes. Often, this brief pause is enough for the urge to weaken and pass. Much like a wave that rises and falls, it's about learning to surf the urge, recognizing that these impulses are temporary and that you have the power to ride them out without being swept away. From my own life, I can tell you that this strategy has real merit. While working on difficult projects, I sometimes feel self-doubt in my mind. Various questions and second-guessing can arise out of nowhere. In these instances, I found I stand at a crossroad with two paths. Succumb to these doubts, potentially losing days to inaction, or use the 10-minute rule. If I choose the latter, in those 10 minutes, I'd focus exclusively on small, manageable tasks, ticking them off on my checklist one by one. This isn't just busy work. It's about building momentum, using small successes to fuel further action. And you know what? The self-doubt starts to dissolve and progress takes its place. Suddenly, the day isn't wasted, but instead, it's productive and meaningful. I want to make it clear. There's a time and place for introspection, for thoughtfully considering your direction. But in the heat of the moment, those introspective urges are often wolves in sheep's clothing, sneaky triggers for procrastination. True introspection is calm and deliberate, not a knee-jerk reaction to stress. By recognizing and postponing these false alarms with the 10-minute rule, you reclaim your focus and keep pushing forward. So remember, next time an uncomfortable urge hits you, surf it out. 10 minutes, that's all it takes to turn a potential distraction into a moment of triumph. And now we come to strategy number 3. Nir Eyal, in his book, takes an intriguing stance on the concept of willpower. He challenges the traditional view of ego depletion, which basically says that our willpower and self-control, for that matter, is a limited resource, and therefore the traditional stance argues that as you keep using your willpower, it'll get depleted. Now, what Nir Eyal says in his book is that willpower is not something that is an exhaustible resource, but rather he encourages us to think of it as an abundant well that never runs dry. And I found that embracing this belief can help us fight off temptations and distractions with much greater ease. To reinforce this mindset, Eyal recommends setting up what he calls pacts. These are commitments that we make to ourselves that come with a kind of penalty if we don't follow through, making it harder for us to succumb to distractions. There are effort pacts, which increase the amount of work required to get distracted, price pacts, which impose a financial cost, and identity pacts, which align our actions with our self-image. In my own journey, I'll admit, I bought into the idea of ego depletion. By evening, after a day's work, I tell myself I was too drained to continue being productive. This belief was self-defeating. It was as if I was giving myself permission to lose focus. But once I shifted my perspective and started to view willpower as an endless resource, my productivity levels changed dramatically. It's like breaking the 4-minute barrier in the 1-mile run. For years, it seemed impossible, but once someone shattered that record, it wasn't long before others followed through. The barrier was more mental than physical. In the same way, once I started to believe in the inexhaustible nature of my own willpower, I found myself capable of more than I'd ever imagined, even at the end of the day. The Pact's strategy proved to be a practical application of this belief. By creating a small ritual at the end of my workday where I'd set my intentions for the evening, essentially making a pact with myself, I was able to hold myself accountable. The cost of breaking that pact wasn't just a loss of productivity, it was a dent in my identity as someone who follows through, and that's a price too high to pay. So embrace the abundance of your willpower and consider setting up pacts to guide your focus. It's about making the path of distraction not just undesirable but also illogical. With these strategies in place, your journey to indistractability isn't just possible, it's inevitable. One of the amazing things that I have learned in my own journey through my own experiences with productivity is the power of momentum. It's something that's probably quite difficult to fully grasp. A previous action helping or in some way sometimes pulling us back with respect to the next action. So a previous action is influencing the next action, or the past is influencing the future. So this is what the power of momentum is all about. Personally, I love to use checklists to build positive momentum whenever I'm trying to do a difficult task. And breaking down a task always needed some kind of tool that makes it actually practical, and I found that tool in checklists. Check out this video where I discuss in great detail with a lot of examples how I make use of checklists to achieve my most challenging goals. Thanks for watching, and consider subscribing for more content that aims at bringing out the best in you. I'm Jackson Kainath, and see you in the next one.